What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to give you 5 things to look out for when choosing a new online coach. So powerlifting is growing rapidly today, which is an amazing thing. We all want to see the sport do well. We all want more exposure for it so we can all, compete at bigger competitions, have more competition, and for the coaches out there, make more money. This is a job for a lot of people. But with the sport growing comes some good and bad trends. Now, online coaching is huge in 2019. I do it myself. A lot of the coaches I'm friends with do it. But there's a lot of people out there that are doing it just to make a quick buck, and they're trying to get money as fast as they can off people, to pay their rent and get in and get out as quick as possible. So when you're new to the sport, maybe you're in an area where there's not many powerlifting clubs, there's not many coaches, or maybe you just like training at a commercial gym with your friends, but you want to take powerlifting a bit more seriously. It can be a bit overwhelming when you look for an online coach because there's all these different people with all these different methods of coaching people and writing programs, and you can feel a bit stuck in the water, right? It can be really overwhelming. I totally get that, and I've been there. So today I wanted to make a video to give you some tips and some things to look out for when trying to find a new online coach to work with. I'm not saying online coaching is bad. It's great. I do it for a lot of people and I love it, but a lot of people are just trying to make money off of you, and you need to watch out for a few things. So with that said, here's number 1. The number 1 thing to look out for is fake promises. It's very easy to tell a new lifter that you'll give them the world, but then not deliver on it. If you have a coach that's guaranteeing you a certain amount of kilos on one of your lifts, or that you will be way better in 6 months, run the other way. Powerlifting's been around for a long time. It's more popular than ever. But one thing we do know, and that's been proven over the whole time, is that long-term consistent results lead to the best gains and the least risk of injury. So that's the number 1 thing to look out for. Don't fall for the trap of people promising you a certain amount of kilos on your lift, or promising you that, your squat's gonna blow up when they can't deliver on it. A lot of the time these people say, I've got this new method, and I've discovered this new way to train that no one else is doing, and it's always bullshit. Don't listen to it, right? No one has these crazy new methods that no one else knows of. If there's a good method for lifting out there, you can guarantee the good coaches are using it or something similar. There's no secret method that's gonna put 50 kilos on your squat in a month, unless you're a brand new lifter. The number 2 thing to look out for is proven results. Do their lifters progress rapidly and then injure themselves and, drop out of the sport? Or do they have lifters that have been with them for a year, 2 years, 3 years that have steadily gotten better over time? It's very easy to get someone new strong, right? You just give them way more volume, smash them with intensity, they'll get stronger, but the career won't be long-lived. What you want to see is that there's a good trend with their lifters, they've got a low rate of injury, and their people are always progressing even 5 years down the line, right? Strength gains don't always come easy, especially when you're a drug-free lifter, but you should be able to make little steps forward through your whole training career up to a certain point, when you get older or your training age is quite old. But that's a big thing you should be looking out for, is no big peaks and drop-offs, usually nice steady results over time, right? The other thing you can look out for that I really advise people are, if you look at their lifters and people are posting about their coach, look for people whose form is continually improving. So yeah, all right, if someone squats 200 and then 3 months later they squat 200 again, did it look better? Was it more efficient? Was it a lot cleaner of a lift? That's a really easy way to gauge whether the coach is invested in that lifter's long-term lifting career, or whether they're just trying to make money and give them results so the person keeps paying, right? If you smash someone with work and they progress rapidly and then they injure themselves, they're gonna wanna get back to that and they'll keep paying money. It's a good business format for the short term, for the long term, not so much. But look out for that. Continued progress over time. Number 3 is look for more than just programming. There's a massive difference between online programming and online coaching. Is the coach making adjustments to your program? Are they reviewing videos? Are they in contact with you semi-frequently? Are they making changes based on how your videos or the feedback they give you, right? It's very easy to write a program. Like, writing 12 weeks doesn't take that long after a while. but people will charge for that and people will pay for that if they don't know what they're looking for. There's a big difference between online programming and online coaching. Online coaching has a lot more involvement. They're looking at the videos, they're making changes as need be, they're changing your warm-ups, they're changing the lifts you do before your squat so your squat's more efficient. Two very big differences. And definitely something to look out for and not fall into the trap of just paying for programming and then getting no support on the other end ever until it's time to pay again for another 12 weeks, right? I don't do online programming. I've had a few people ask me recently. It's something I've thought about doing, but even then I still want to be somewhat involved in the lifter's journey because I can't give them and guarantee them the best results if I just write them 12 weeks blindly and go, here you go, good luck, don't die. Number 4 is communication. It's all good and well for a coach to review your videos once a week, which is quite normal, but are they getting back to your questions in a timely manner? Now, I don't mean, they're up at 12 a.m. messaging you. Most coaches won't, or a lot won't. But if you have a question for tomorrow's squats and you need an answer before the session, you should be confident in knowing you can send them a message and they'll get back to you before your session or try their hardest to. It won't happen every time, but they should try really hard, right? So what you'll find with the structure is a lot of coaches, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. The wrong way is just to not do it at all. But a lot of coaches will go, I'll get back to you on these 2 days, or I'll get back to you twice a week, or within this amount of days of your session, or Wednesday's your day, and that's perfectly fine. But there should be another avenue of communication, whether it's WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram, email, whatever it may be, where you can ask general questions if you need them at that time, right? So again, look for someone that's going to give you support through, Messenger or messaging you and not just video feedback once a week. It sounds good and well at the start, but if you, had a really rough week, you had a really rough night the night before, you didn't sleep, you will need to make changes to your program a lot of the time, and you need to know that that person's going to be there and be invested enough to make those changes for you. It's something that a lot of people miss out on, but it does make a big difference to your journey as a lifter, especially as a newer lifter. I had a lifter messaging me tonight. They didn't know how to do a movement. I got a video to them within a couple hours. And again, that doesn't happen all the time, but the coach should be trying really hard to do that. It's definitely something to keep out for and ask if they offer that, right? If they say no, and you are a newer lifter or even a more advanced one, you should start looking somewhere else for a coach that will give you more support than just once a week feedback. And the last one, number 5, is a competition plan. It sounds pretty simple, but a lot of coaches won't do this. Your coach should be invested enough in you to be able to tell you what warm-ups they want you to do and write down a bunch of cues to give to the person handling you, right? As well as your attempts. If your coach can't do that, they're not really invested in your training and they're not, following your progress, following your warm-ups through your training cycle. This is really important. You don't want to be stuck on comp day trying to figure out your attempts that day or the night before on your own. A lot of the time it helps having that impartial third party, and your coach should offer that. If they don't offer that, you're getting jibbed. That is a massive part of the powerlifting coaching experience, is helping people on comp day. And even though they're online, doesn't give them an excuse to not be invested in you as much as possible. So with that said, like I did on last video, there's a few things I think you as a lifter should look out for or not do to the coach, right? In the end, this is a job and boundaries do need to be set. I went over this last time and there's a few different ones for online coaching. So if you watch the last video, there will be some differences here. It's something to keep in mind. You don't want to be busting balls constantly. So here's 3 things not to do. Number 1, don't be obsessive, right? Online coach doesn't mean available 24/7. People seem to confuse this a lot. They go, why didn't you respond to my message at 3 a.m.? Sorry, bro, I was sleeping. I got to get up at 8. I'm sorry to inconvenience you. Why are you training at 3 a.m.? So this is something a lot of people run into when they're getting coached from someone overseas, but don't expect your coach to be available 24/7. There's nothing worse than a lifter that gets upset when you don't get back to them straight away. As much as I love this job, and a lot of coaches do, most coaches should love their job, there is a life outside of this, and you need to try to maintain relationships and a little bit of free time, so you're not available 24/7. I don't respond to people after 9 p.m. most of the time. If I'm up and I'm on my phone, I will, but it's not expected by any of my lifters. That's the number one thing. Don't be obsessive. Don't demand 24-hour feedback. It won't happen. You'll likely get dropped if you become too much of a handful. If the coach is doing well for themselves and they don't need, your $30, $40, $50 a week, and you're just constantly harassing them, you won't have a coach for a long time. It does happen. Number two is don't go off program. So a lot of people that get online coaching soon realize that temptation is hard to resist, right? Of like doing a PB or doing a massive rep out, or, skipping lifts that they don't like. It's a lot easier when you have an in-person coach, because they can be in the gym, go, hey, what are you doing? Like, why are you skipping your hamstring curls? Go back and do your hamstring curls. And the lifter goes, okay, and they trudge off and do it. When you're online, you don't have that person in the gym for all of your sessions telling you what you can and can't do, or picking you up if you do go off program. So you need a little bit of self-control, and you need to trust the coach and give them the respect of seeing their program through. Don't go off program. Don't get tempted to skip things. It should all be there for a reason, so you should see it through. Again, it can be really hard to fight that temptation, but you need to not do it. If you do it and you do go off program, don't then turn around and blame your coach for the lack of results or not getting the results you wanted, right? And that does happen. It's happened to me. They go, oh man, I missed these triples. Oh, what did you do last week? Oh, I did a squat 1 rep max. I just felt really good. Well, there's your issue. You're burnt out. Don't do that. And number three is something that's happened to me multiple times before I got with a direct debit company. Don't skip payments / don't rob the coach. Pay what you owe. Now, you're going to most likely leave your online coach at some point. That is completely okay, but pay for what you owe and try to give them a good heads up before you leave. It doesn't need to be months, but try to give them a couple weeks. This is a job, we've got bills, we've got families, we need to make money. I've had one lifter skip out on $330 because they skipped 1 month and they went, oh, sorry man, wrong count, next month I'll pay it. I trusted them. They did it again, they ended up owing me $300 and something. That was my mistake, and I never got that back. But don't be that guy or girl. Don't be the person that screws over a coach. As much as powerlifting's growing, it's a small industry, word gets around. First thing I did was told another coach from the area they're from, and they will never take them on now. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. It's absurd that I even need to say this, and most people won't. But if you're paying someone for a service and they're giving you that service, pay for the service, right? Don't skip out. You wouldn't like to go to work for 8 hours and then find out you've only been paid for 1. And unfortunately, that happens a lot to online coaches. So don't be shocked when your coach asks for upfront payment, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. They need to justify the time they're about to invest in planning out your training, getting you up and running, processing all your information. Don't be offended. A lot of coaches have been screwed over like this. And that's the end of the video. The more I do this, and do these weekly videos, the more I realize I'm catering more to beginners and intermediate lifters. And that's awesome. That's amazing. That feels really good. That I could help people that are newer or, don't have much experience in certain areas, whether it be finding an online coach or, meal prepping under certain budgets with that video series I'm starting next month. So I'm really enjoying that. So don't be afraid to get your questions down below and let me know what video topics you want me to cover. Now I'm still doing the weekly Q&A where I answer one question on the YouTube video, if there are any. And this week's is from Matt. And Matt asks, how do you find the benefits from training at a lifting gym with all the toys at your disposal compared to training at a commercial gym? So Matt means training at a powerlifting gym versus training at a commercial gym. There's benefits to both and there's negatives to both. So I'll touch on this really quick. I've touched on it before, more so on my Instagram. But the thing I love about commercial gyms is I can get in, put my headphones on, I'm not training with anyone, and get out. My sessions are a lot quicker. And that's really the only big benefit. The other thing is things like they've got leg presses and equipment we don't have it at a powerlifting gym. But you really start running into issues when you're in a competition cycle or you're a heavy lifter and you have to use commercial gym bars. And that's really the only reason I've stopped training at the commercial gym. I load 260 kilos on the bar and it whips like crazy and it feels like it's gonna fly off my back. It feels like I'm squatting with a noodle. So I'm back training at Apex. Now, Awesome benefits there. Competition bars, they don't really whip that much. You know, safety bars, things like that. Now we have dumbbells, so it's made it even easier. The only negative to training at a powerlifting club or gym, the tendency to fall into conversation with people and extend your rest period like massively, right? And then sessions take 3.5 hours when they should take an hour and a half to 2. But I do love training at, you know, a powerlifting club, being around like-minded people and using good equipment. It's not the be all and end all, but if you have the opportunity, train at the powerlifting club, but just really try to focus on keeping that mindset of just getting through your session as fast as possible and then chit-chatting afterwards. It's something I'm still trying to work on and I'm getting better at, but that is the only downfall. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all next week. I'm not quite sure what next week's video is going to be yet. I might just do an update on where I'm at with my cut and some other things in life. But if someone gives me a good recommendation, I'll be sure to get to that instead. Have a good one.